It is absolutely not Brian Higgins, but Labor's Local 633 is one of over 500 local unions that belong to the Laborers International Union of North America, and they help power the 315. Shout out Labor's Local 633. Shout out to you listening on ESPN Radio Syracuse and Utica Rome. I'm Jordan Capozzi. And I apologize because I gave you a specific time before I hit that last break, forgetting that I'm on a slight delay. If you didn't know that, there goes the magic. I apologize. So when you return at about 5:20 or so and you hear me and you're like, you said 5:19, it was totally my fault. My bad. Now here's another little radio trick. I'm going to have Coach Alan Griffin on the show right now, but spoiler alert, I talked to Coach Alan Griffin at about 11:30 a.m. We talked about the game against Clemson last night. He talked about how the job he thinks Coach Autry's doing. Talked a little bit about previewing the ACC tournament and what that week's going to be like. But rather than me just recapping the interview, how about I play it for you right now? Watch it on QSportsTalk.com. Here's Coach Alan Griffin. It's Wednesday here in the 315, and you know what that means. Coach Alan Griffin, Syracuse men's basketball assistant coach, joins Brian Higgins or myself, Jordan Capozzi, on the show each Wednesday with game days on a Tuesday, generally to recap last night's game and look forward. Griff, in studio today. I appreciate you coming in. How you doing?
Good, definitely. Was a quick early morning, but I'm here, you know.
Coming off the haircut.
Oh, yeah, I was getting a haircut next door, and I said I decided instead of calling it, I'm going to just pop in and see what happens.
Hey, that's always a pleasure to have you here. I'll just start with this, I thought the game, you guys played a pretty good game last night, honestly, but it wasn't enough. 15-point loss to Clemson. Before we get into the details of it, do you have a main takeaway as to what happened, what you guys could have done better, what might have cost you the game?
Obviously you want to play better. I think defensively we kind of let ourselves down. We just gave too many easy baskets. But, Clemson posed, a huge threat to us, especially with their interior play with Hall and Shefflin down there. They both are a load, and they almost shot damn near close to perfect from the field, But our defensive principles kind of went out the window, and obviously when you got to chase a guy around like Joe Girard, it makes it difficult to kind of loading up. So it was a perfect storm for our team. But if I can take away anything, I know there's no silver lining and losses sometimes. And our team showed growth. Like, the score might say 15, but we had to foul at the end, right? And we had and they did a great job of getting the ball into a career 90%, free throw shooter's hands and Joe. And he went to the line, and I think, I don't know, he scored, 17 points or whatever you have, 21 points. And, probably 7 of them came from free throws down the stretch. So, and that's why it should have been a 10-point loss, but, we ain't counting. We wanted to win the game.
And I want to get to Hall specifically as you talked about the defense in the post. But since you brought it up, I noticed at the end of last night's game, it seemed like there were some times at the end where Coach Autry didn't really want to see fouls, and then Girard was fouled. What happened there? Was that a miscommunication? Was Quadir specifically just being a little too aggressive? What happened with the end-of-game fouling?
Well, it's certain types of fouls, right? And, in that moment, we thought that because we got the shot, I think the game clock and the shot clock down to a certain point, it's like, all right, we're going to try to trap one more time. Don't foul them right away. Let's try to get another trap and see if they might return the ball over, right? And he fouled right away, which, that's something that, obviously you got to talk about as a team, and you go over those scenarios in practice. But, again, our guys play hard. They fought hard. Clemson just had it last night, excuse me.
Yeah, no, they were inside, outside, 11 threes, too many, but P.J. Hall really put the pressure on early. He had 10 points in the first 5 minutes of the game, finished with 25. What do you do there? I'm on Twitter. Everyone's on Twitter or X during the game, and everyone's saying you got to double Hall now, but then you got Hunter and Joe shooting threes. So how do you feel about how you guys defended P.J. Hall last night? Is there anything you guys would go back and do differently? Is there anything you could have done better, or was it just a guy on senior night playing a hell of a game?
I think, it's just what you said, a guy on senior night playing a hell of a game, which, he was a player of the year candidate, so let's not take away from, his talents. and what he's done all year, right? But he was just a load down there, and usually you can get him playing inside and out, and if he misses a couple on the perimeter, then you kind of. But he wasn't missing on the perimeter neither, right? So Malik battled all year and will continue to battle for us. He's hasn't had help, and we got to figure out how to help him a little bit more, a little bit better inside there. But they had a really good game plan in terms of Clemson's approach and attack, and they just executed their game plan better than us.
Give the guys credit. At the beginning of the game, Cuse down double digits early. The team fought back, and I know that's kind of been an issue a little bit earlier in the season, not as much recently, but when the team has gone down early, it's kind of been a struggle to get back.
Oh, right. So that's the growth.
What did you guys do well to get back into that game and keep it competitive?
And that's the growth that we see as coaches in our team, right? Again, the score says 15. It should have been 9 to 10 points easily, lost. But our guys never quit. They always felt like they had a chance. We played them tough here, and a couple possessions, in the second half where when it got loose here. So we know we can play with a lot of teams, especially any team in the ACC or any team in the country, but again, they just executed their game plan a little bit better than us.
Syracuse men's basketball assistant coach Alan Griffin here in studio today on the 315. We're going over last night's game against Clemson, looking forward a little bit to the week off. I got a couple of questions about the offense now that I've kind of grilled you about the defense. Judah, he did his thing, fourth straight game with 20 points, played pretty well. I know post-game, Coach Autry said he missed some shots he'd normally make. He also, I believe, shot 3 threes in the first half. Mm-hmm. There were a couple opportunities where Coach said he maybe could have drove. Just in general with the team, what did you guys think about the shot selection in the first half? Would you agree that sometimes there were some quick three-pointers taken where you could have searched for better looks?
Yeah, definitely when you look at it in hindsight. But, Judah has been great for us all year, especially these last 6 or 7 games in terms of if you look at his production, his points production, his assists, his percentages, so he's been giving us his all and got nothing but love for him in terms of how he's playing right now because he's playing at a high level for a point guard. Is there some shot selections in the game? Yeah, but you know what? Some guys have been taking those shots all year, and Judah included. And sometimes you make them, sometimes you miss them. But, we just got to, again, continue to get in the gym and shoot, and hopefully we can, get hot in D.C.
Quadir Copeland, Kyle Cuff, they were both hot from deep last night. I know a few of those shots were just kind of at the end of the game, which sometimes can benefit a guy. You're not sitting there thinking about it. There was one Cuff caught it, just turned, shot right in the net. Is that something that you guys might look a little more for going into the tournament, getting, Quadir and specifically Kyle involved as long-range threats, or was that just end-of-the-game situation, had to shoot him?
I think Quadir's situation is, he shot, he was 3 for 6 from 3. 6 threes for Quadir is probably a little bit much because he's so good at getting the ball into the paint and doing so many other things for this team in terms of his ability to pass. Clemson, they sagged off him, they went underneath, and, he kind of probably felt disrespected in some respects. So, he's a tough kid, and he shot the ball well. As of Cuff, those are the shots that he makes, right? And he makes those consistently in practice. And sometimes with Cuff, what he struggled with, especially early on in the season, was shot selection. And now he's shooting the 1-2 step, 3, which is a good shot for him at this moment, right? And we just got to continue to enforce that, and hopefully Q can get back to attacking a little bit more and making plays for others. But again, Quadir has been a warrior for us. In the game last night, he was battling underneath the boards with a guy that was probably 40 pounds more than him, in Shefflin, right? And he was giving him everything that he could. So So he deserved to take a couple shots that, you like question a little bit, right?
Yeah, no. And I mean, there were moments where Q kind of saved the half-court offense in that first half where he was forcing the switch to get Shefflin on him and taking him to the hole. So, yeah, give Q his shots when he's earning them.
Right, definitely.
JJ, he's played less minutes than typical in the last couple games. Louisville was foul trouble last night. There was a moment where it seemed like he got his foot stepped on. He was kind of grabbing it. He returned. He was good, but how's JJ doing? And the lack of minutes last night at 27, it's not a lack, but was he feeling all right? Was it just a game plan thing? How's JJ doing?
Yeah, JJ's doing good. Obviously, we got some of the best trainers and medical staff in the country, and they assessed him during the game, and it just was a little sore. So, and coach kind of made a decision where he needed somebody that's going to chase some guys around, and Cuff can do that well. And it wasn't nothing that JJ did or anything like that. It was just one of those things where at that particular moment we needed something different, and that's when he put Cuff in there. But there's no riffraff about JJ or with us as a staff or injury or nothing like that. It was just one of those coaches' decisions that he had to make, just because it was some soreness to his foot.
Makes sense. Just got to check on our guy JJ. He joins Brian every week too, so we got to make sure our guy's all right. Yeah. Last one for you, Griff. You guys gonna have a week off. ACC tournament in DC. I know Coach Autry was talking about it a lot in post game. He answered darn near every question, ended it with, we got to get our minds right, get back in the gym and get ready for the tournament. He called it a new season, which, I mean, it is. I know you guys aren't thinking about it. You're going game by game, but that's probably your path to the big dance at this point. So what are you guys going to be locking in on the next week? How much time are the guys going to be, spending resting versus in the gym? And what are you guys really looking to work on before the tournament next week?
Really quick, I definitely want to touch on what Coach said in terms of a new season, right? No one gave us anything this beginning of the season. No one. And to finish 20-11, 2 games above 500 in the league, and to finish in the middle of this league is a tremendous job on behalf of Coach Autry and our staff, right? And people, I know some people around town feel that they're disappointed in the situation, how it ended or where we are right now, but we're in a good spot. We gave ourselves still a fighting chance. We put ourselves in a fighting chance spot where, if this was the beginning of the season, no one gave us anything, right? And that's a testament, again, to Coach and his belief in our guys and our guys' belief in us as a staff. Our guys are warriors. The 7 guys that we got playing right now are warriors. For what they've done and what they've accomplished to this juncture is a testament on hard work and dedication and playing for one another. And I read Twitter all the time, and I don't like to doing stuff like this, but get behind this team, get behind them, and push. And you know what? Whatever the outcome is, the outcome. Just know that these guys have given us their all year long, and able to bounce back from highs and lows. And it's one of those things where it's something to be said for that, right? And I think that you're going to get the same effort and detail and grit when we go down to DC and look for our new season where everybody is 0-0. And we got a chance to win in the ACC tournament because there's nobody in our league that we can't beat.
You guys proved it at home against UNC. Got to take that to DC, keep the mind in it. And I agree. It's crazy how I think a lot of people before the season, you say Syracuse wins 20 games, they're happy with it. But then you get a little taste, you beat a team like UNC, you go on a win streak to end the season, and then the expectations change. So I appreciate you saying that, Coach. And I think most of the people listening here understand and are behind you guys. And, we'll be rooting for you this upcoming week in DC.
All right. Thank you.
That was Coach Alan Griffin. Love talking with Coach Griff, man. He, whether it's Draymond's tweets or whether it's the fan base or whatever, Coach Griff's got a little fire in him, and I always appreciate that. I love when he goes on that. I've just got to say one thing before we end this, that little rant that he's been doing a little bit more lately. If you haven't heard those this year, luckily you can go back on SoundCloud on ESPNSyracuse.com or on YouTube, over 1,000 subs at Q Sports Talk, and check out all those interviews as well as the one that you just heard right here shortly after the conclusion of tonight's show. But before that, we got a little bit more to get to. My guy Mike's coming in for the 411 in the 315. I'll tell you what's on tap a little bit later, as the voice guy has messed up every single time. I'll find him. I tell you, this is not Brian Higgins. This is Jordan Capozzi, but this is the 315, and we'll be right back if you're listening on ESPN Radio Syracuse or Utica Rome. If you want to hang during the break, QSportsTalk.com is the place to be, but we'll be right back on ESPN Radio Syracuse and Utica Rome.